Hello and marhaba, I'm Hania and welcome to my channel. Algerians are very proud of their own traditional fast food, and as many Algerians will tell you, there'll be no McDonald's here. Each region has their very own fast food and street food. In a past video, I shared with you all the Orani Garantita, which is a chickpea tart, which I'll link in the info cards below. Today I'll be preparing a traditional Algerian style pizza that dates back over a century, even before pizza was ever popular in the West. This pizza was traditionally prepared with an all-semolina dough by bakeries who wanted to use up leftover bread dough, but now it's prepared with flour. Much like the Garantita, this economical pizza is sold for very little for busy workers and students. Before we get into the ingredients, don't forget to give this video a like if you find it helpful, and if you're new here, I invite you to subscribe by hitting the bell so you don't miss out on a thing. All the ingredients are listed up on the screen as well as in the description box below in 3 languages. Bismillah, let's get on with the recipe. So I'm going to begin by adding my flour into a large mixing bowl and then adding my semolina. As you can see, I'm using fine semolina here, which is also called semolfine or smid darqiq. I'm going to add my olive oil. You can use regular oil if you like, or even melted butter. Then I'm just going to add in the egg, as you can see here, and then make a little well in the middle of the bowl so that I can add in the yeast. This is really helpful so that we don't deactivate the yeast. So I'm going to add the yeast right into the well there, as well as the sugar. Once we've added the sugar into the bowl along with the yeast, I'm going to gradually add in my milk until I form a nice soft and supple dough. It's really important that we add the milk in gradually because the amount of milk really depends on the absorption and the quality of our flour and our semolina. At this point, we can add in our salt as well as start kneading our dough together so that everything is well incorporated. We just want to knead the dough until everything comes together. Cover it with a clean kitchen towel and allow it to rest while we prepare the pizza sauce. I'm going to begin by grating 4 large ripe tomatoes against just a regular grater, as you can see here. You can optionally do this in a kitchen machine if you like, but me, I prefer the low-tech style. Here you can see our tomatoes are really nice and chunky. This is how we want them. Now we can set the tomatoes aside and saute our onions in some olive oil. You can optionally use regular oil, vegetable oil, or even melted butter if you like. Once the onions have sauteed nicely, I'll be adding in the tomatoes as well as the garlic. Now you can add in the salt and the sugar. The sugar is really important to balance out the acidity of the tomatoes. Then I'll also be adding the thyme. I'm using fresh thyme as well as fresh bay leaf. And now I'll be adding the tomato paste and giving that a good stir. We're going to cook our sauce on a low heat for about 10 to 15 minutes until it's nice and thick. Once your sauce is cooked, it's going to be thick and chunky such as this. This is exactly how it's supposed to be and how the traditional sauce is. Allow it to cool before using. And now here's our dough after it's been rested. It's really nice and supple, as you can see, really soft. It's even stretched out a little bit. So all I'm going to do is just form it into a nice ball by cutting it in half, because we are going to be making 2 trays of pizzas today. I'm going to take one of the balls and roll it into a nice little dough, fold it together such as this into a little parcel, and then kind of roll it so that it's nice and smooth against the countertop, as you can see that I'm doing here. And then I'll repeat the same with the other piece of dough. You can use one of these pizza pans if you like, or you can just use a tray such as this. So I'm going to use the baking tray that came with my oven, as this is usually used here in Algeria. So now I'm going to take one of my balls of dough, add some flour onto my work surface, and then roll it out with a rolling pin until it's nice and flat and it's just to the size of my baking pan. Of course, we want to flour the rolling pin so that it doesn't stick to the dough, of course. This recipe actually makes a large portion of pizza, so we had 2 trays of pizza. If you don't want to use all that much at one time, you can optionally freeze the dough by simply wrapping it in plastic and putting it in your freezer. And when you want to use the dough, you can just take it out and leave it on your countertop until it's nice and thawed out. You can even optionally prepare smaller little mini doughs, mini pizzas, and serve them to your children or as appetizers, or even put them in the freezer for use later. Especially a good idea with Ramadan coming up soon. So now that we have our pizza dough rolled out to fit the size of our pan, I'm just going to gently brush the pan with some olive oil. I'm using regular olive oil, light olive oil, the second pressing. I wouldn't suggest using extra virgin olive oil because it will burn. You can use regular oil as you like. I'm going to sprinkle some cornmeal or even some coarse semolina on the bottom to have the pizza have a nice little crust. And then I'm going to just place the dough right into the pan and make sure it fits really nicely. So you do want to work fast because, as you can see here, the dough does stick together. This pizza is also nice for children's snacks or taking to work for lunch or taking on a picnic or to the beach. I also like to prepare it during Ramadan as an alternative to fried burek, for example. It's really nice and the kids really like it. If you do have some creases or anything in your pizza dough, as I have here, it's really okay because we're going to be topping it with our sauce and you'll never even know the difference. Once I have the pizza dough fitted in the pan, I'm going to form a little crust on the side. You can make it as thick or as thin as you like. It's really up to your preference. Now we're going to spread the tomato sauce on our pizza. Don't forget to take out your bay leaf and your thyme from your sauce before spreading it on your pizza dough. So we want to be really generous with the sauce because this pizza doesn't have cheese. So this is the type of pizza, unlike the Italian style pizza, it doesn't have any cheese at all. So this is a traditional Algerian style pizza, and as I mentioned, it doesn't have any cheese. Traditionally, this pizza sauce was really simple. It just had some fresh tomatoes, a little bit of thyme, and salt. So I added the tomato sauce and the sugar to balance out the flavors, and also the bay leaf. You can add them if you like. I really recommend it, but if you don't, you want to be really traditional, leave them out. And traditionally, as far as toppings, we are abiding to the tradition of having only thyme, fresh thyme, as well as olives. There are some places where they used to also put anchovies or even tuna. And nowadays you can even find bakeries that are selling a pizza with the various other toppings such as cheese and other herbs, meat, chicken. But today, as I said, we are just using the traditional toppings, but really it depends on you what you like. So as you can see, I put the thyme on. So I just took some thyme and sprinkled it all over. I'm using fresh thyme. You can use dried if you like. And now I'm adding the green olives. So green olives are traditionally used, pitted green sliced olives. You can also use black olives, color olives, any kind of olives you like, or you can leave it out altogether. It's really up to you. So I preheated my oven to 200 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to bake my pizza for about 15 to 20 minutes. For me, it took about 20 minutes, but it really depends on your oven. Here you can see that our pizza is done. It's really nicely browned, as you can see here. It's so super delicious, believe me, try it out. So traditionally, the pizza is just topped with some fresh chopped parsley at the end, sliced up and served to the masses. I like to slice my pizza into medium slices, as you can see here. You can slice it larger, of course. This pizza is great for taking on the go when you're at school or work, going to the beach, or taking on a picnic, but also for Ramadan, which is coming up pretty soon. As you can see here, I'm serving it with shorba batata trefes, which is a Jerusalem artichoke soup, which I'll be posting in the near future. I hope you did like this video, and if you did, remember to give it a like and share with a friend. I appreciate all your comments and all your pictures that you send in to me over on Facebook and Instagram. And if you have made any of my recipes, be sure to send me a picture. And until next time, peace be upon you, and see you in the next video.